Welcome to the Wheel of Prog, Best of 2023. Woohoo!
All right,
Welcome,
everybody.
everyone.
Okay, so a little bit behind the scenes. This took about 6 months to plan, but we were able to get 6 of us on this podcast to do our end of the year one, which is always a lot of fun. And we decided because the wheel has been such a success. Actually, Kyle suggested that we do a Wheel of Prog episode around the best of 2023, and or was it Jeff? Who knows anymore? But anyway, yeah. So this it's going to be a little bit different. We're not doing a tier list, but we are incorporating the wheel, and you'll see how it plays along. But we got a bunch of albums. This was maybe the busiest year in terms of reviews and new releases that I can recall since doing the Prog Report. I don't know how if you guys feel the same way about the number of albums that you guys got to hear, but I think we covered or reviewed or in some way over 50 records, which is a lot. And certainly there were many hundreds and hundreds more. So we tried to get to as many as we could. We covered all the big ones and then discovered a lot of really cool new bands this year, which was a lot of fun. And we cover a lot of those on this podcast. So we got the full crew here. We got John, we got Nick, Jeff, Kyle, and Dan. Dan is on location seeing concerts. And, which is cool. Got to see Lepers last night. How was that?
Yeah, that was amazing. My first time seeing them, I was really excited. The whole band is mind-blowing. Einar is the best, so had a blast. I'm super tired, but I'm ready to do this. Always ready to
Awesome.
spin the
Commitment.
wheel.
And also Vic is not on the podcast, but he will be incorporated on this. So basically what we did is I'll go ahead and bring up the wheel here. Okay.
Ooh.
We have 24 albums on said wheel. And actually what's cool here is you can't really see the titles, so you have to sort of make out the graphics, the album covers. But anyway, we're going to spin the wheel. Each of us have been assigned 4 albums of the 24. If it lands on the wheel and it's one of your albums, you will talk about it, present it to the group very quickly. And then we will all decide if it's in our top 5s. Actually, I am not revealing what my top 5 is because it's too much involvement for me. And I also know how this shakes out at the end. So, but anyway,
you're gonna have to reveal something though. Whether
Okay, I'll reveal something. 5. So 5 of you on here plus Vic each have shared what your top 5s are, and that will result in a end of the podcast ranking of the top 10 albums from how this thing shakes out. Sort of an unofficial top 10, and we'll see how it goes. Sort of gives it a little bit of another element than usual this year. We'll see how it goes. All right, so
hey,
should we just
one
go
other,
ahead and...
one other quick question. I'm sorry. Can we get that Prog Report logo to cover more of Jeff's face? If we could just make it about 200% bigger.
That's perfect. Yeah.
Guys,
Yeah.
really easy to see. There we go.
Thank you for pointing that out. Thank you for
Oh,
pointing
got
that
it.
out. Okay, so all right, so should we go ahead and spin the wheel? Spin the
Okay.
first spin here?
Who's getting the first one?
Big money, big money. Well, I love the sound.
Let's not forget to
What
read
a
it out.
great year for prog rock, you know? It's been an incredible year. So
First up is actually the not yet out Peter Gabriel album, IO, his first album in 20 years, but we included it on here because he did finally announce that it is coming out December 1st, and he's released 11 songs already, so certainly some of you have heard at least some of them by now. But Jeff, you want to give us a rundown on this one?
Yeah, well, I mean, you sort of mentioned it there. It's been a very unconventional approach by, I guess, a very unconventional artist. Peter Gabriel hasn't put out an album in more than 20 years, and in January of this year, then he announced that he would start releasing songs every full moon. So, as Roy said, we're 11 songs in. I got to see him live in June of this year, and by that stage about 5, I think, songs were out, but he played about 11 songs from the album. So it's been an interesting process, I suppose, of having 3, 4, 5 weeks to digest an album song by song, and then it will come out December 1st, and it will become a thing. I think for me, the variety of it is really, really great, and there's so much in there. The things there's a lot of joyous, very upbeat songs. IO, the title track, Olive Tree, Road to Joy, which was a song that I hadn't heard when I heard it live, and it was just worked so incredibly well. It had people on their feet the same way Sledgehammer did. And then the album ends with a run of pretty introspective songs. And still, This Is Home, Love Can Heal, just beautiful pieces of writing. This isn't technical, shreddy prog. This is interesting, brilliant songwriting, brilliant melodies. One of the distinctive voices in the genre, back with a big chunk of really good music. And that's IO for me. And in terms of my list of the year, oh, sorry, wrong side. It's not. It's number 2 in my list of the year.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else have it in their top 5? I don't think so.
Is Roy your number 2 TPR member, Jeff?
I'm his number 2.
That's the important question.
I'm honored.
I'm excited
Kyle
to
and
see
I went
who's number 1.
Wait till you see what's number 1.
Oh boy.
Here we go.
Kyle and I went to see the show a few months ago. Enjoyed it quite a bit. By then, a few more songs were out, so that was a little bit more fun. I do really like this record a lot. Olive Tree is probably in my top 5 songs of the year. It's been one of my favorites for a while. But yeah, it's good. It's what you'd expect from him, I think. It's a Peter Gabriel album, much like the last few that he had released. And yeah, good, solid stuff.
Yep. I'll just say very
Incredible
quickly.
production.
Road to Joy, co-written with Brian Eno. That's kind of a fun little morsel of information. So I think it's good. I'll be honest, I found the release and all the different mixes to be a little onerous. But I digress. They're good songs, and I think it's cool that he's got new music out. So
yeah, I would have preferred he just put out 4 or 5 songs, then put the record out. But yeah, we're still getting a full album with physical stuff, vinyls, and all sorts of versions. So that's cool. All right, so let's go ahead and get the next one.
Spin that thing. Let's go.
Okay.
And he's here today. No, it's not.
There we go.
it's not lost on us. We only have like 3 minutes per album, or this thing's going to take all day. Ooh, Subsignal.
Oh,
Subsignal.
that's a good one.
Subsignal, that's mine right there. I must admit I'd never heard of the band Subsignal prior to getting this assignment, and
Really?
so I hadn't. So when I got it, I obviously put it onto my playlist and play it in my classroom constantly. So my students are getting used to it as well, and they're starting to recognize some of the stuff, which is really fun. I really have gotten into this. I'm after today, I'm going to start looking into their back catalog. It's got some great. It's almost like an 80s or 90s ballady, pop ballady, proggy things. It's got some good heavy hitting stuff as well. It's got almost some King Crimson, some power chords like that in it. It's got a pedal steel guitar in one place also, but the harmonies are what really stuck out for me. The vocal harmonies were just fantastic. I'm really getting into this. They're from Germany. It's just a fun, good. It's not super over proggy, but it's got some really great. The songs that really stuck out for me were Sliver, and then Melancholia 1 was fantastic. It's a cool song. I'm really getting it. I'm really getting into this band now. So I appreciate the opportunity for this.
Yeah,
I had exactly the same feelings as John. I mean, when I had to listen to it for the first time to write the review, I thought, "Wow, who is this? Who are these guys?" and why have I not heard this stuff before now?
Yeah.
You guys might want to go back and check La Muerta. It's an
La
amazing
Muerta's
album. They
amazing.
released, I think, in 2018, maybe. It's a great album. I know
Yeah.
Roy
I
enjoys
think
it
La
as well.
Muerta's a little bit of a better album than this one. That was one of my favorites back then. But this one's good. It's what they do. It has a little bit of elements of 80s Rush, Styx, Toto in there a little bit. Just all those kind of bands.
I heard some Journey, like some not Steve Perry sounding, but just the song production was and the production's fantastic.
Well, it's produced by the guys from
band.
RPWL, who are legends in
my
German
other one that I'm
rock.
doing.
Yeah.
Anybody have? I don't think anybody has this one in their top. Someone does. Oh, Nick, you have it in your top 5?
Yeah, I had it as my number 5. Really, I was astounded by it. I think I said it all in the review. I'm not going to regurgitate that here, but it really was one of the surprises of the year for me. I love this album.
What was that again?
Yeah, you
it
cut
just
off,
sounded
Nick.
like robots.
Yeah.
Did I?
Oh,
Sorry.
Of the year.
Yeah. No, I was just saying that when I had to write the review for this, it really turned into one of the biggest surprises of the year for me. I had not given Subsignal a proper listen, and this forced me to do it, and I'm really glad about that.
Awesome.
Very, very surprisingly pleasing album. And I think now that their back catalogue has been revealed, there's more to come from these guys.
Yeah.
All right.
Good
Let's
stuff.
go ahead and let's move
It
on
was
to
my
the
number
next
5,
one.
yeah.
Hold on 1 second. Yeah. Okay.
Spin that wheel, brother. Spin it.
Okay.
Who's playing this?
Is that Kyle Graves? Who is that?
That's our good buddy Scott.
It's me.
All right. We got a little Neil
Yay.
Morse, The Dreamer, Joseph Part 1.
All right. So we're going to talk about Neil Morse, The Dreamer, Joseph, Part 1. What a title. So this is a rock opera narrating the biblical story of Joseph. It's really similar to his 2019 album, Jesus Christ, The Exorcist, which is in some ways sort of a spiritual successor to Jesus Christ Superstar in some ways. This is the first part of a 2-part series, and the next disc releases sometime next year. And if you've not listened to it, obviously it's telling a story, considering it's a rock opera. And this is just the first half, so it gets through Joseph's journey from being sold into slavery and then into his ascent to power in Egypt. It features Potiphar's wife and some other details there. This album, not going to surprise you. If you like Neil Morse, you're going to find it very familiar. If you don't like Neil Morse, just don't listen. There are a variety of styles and sounds, as there always are on Neil's albums. For me, it does not feel connected to the rest of the album, but I like Prologue, Before the World Was. It's got a solo from Steve Morse. I like Gold Dust City. I like Ultraviolet Dreams, Heaven in Charge of Hell. There's a good mix, as there always are, and especially on his sort of more musical rock opera style albums, there's a lot of mixture of different voices. And I mean, there's a full on choral, a cappella track on this. I mean, whatever style of music you want, 60s, 70s, 80s rock with prog mixed in, it's on here. For me, my main criticism of the album and why I don't have it ranked in my top 5 is it's just half the story. And so it doesn't feel like it pays off. But I think once I'm able to hear the second half and hear it all in context, I suspect that it will pay off more and it will make more sense. And as things come up in the second album that pay homage to the first album, it'll work better. And as with Neil's stuff, Jesus Christ Exorcist, when I first heard it, I was like, and then I saw it in concert and loved it. So I look forward to experiencing it, I assume, at Morse Fest 2024. There you go.
I particularly liked Liar, Liar. I think that was one of the high points of the year. Fabulous song.
My standout song was Million Miles Away.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep, some really good stuff on it. Anybody got it in their top 5? What do we got?
That's me.
Daniel, number 3
Dude.
for Jeff. All right.
I'm number 3? Okay.
And John?
I would say
I had number 5 for that.
Yeah, John has it in his number 5. No props, John. Really, really letting us down. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay, next.
And John, you're an art teacher, right?
I know. If I would
Yeah.
have known that this was required, I would have gotten my kids to make
John
something.
should have a
Uh,
mug
just,
for each number.
just hold up a mug,
Yeah.
dude. Hold up a mug.
I was
All right,
expecting
next one.
clay numbers, but oh well.
And
Ooh, our friends
No
from
Spoon.
No Spoon with the album
nice.
Opus. I think that's one of the ones I was going to talk about, right? Okay, so this is one of the bands that came out of nowhere for us. One of the many new bands that we discovered. This has absolutely been one of my favorite albums of the year. I'm a huge fan of this band. They're guys out of North Carolina. Four guys. They've been a band for a while in a few different incarnations, but this is the first time where they settled on this lineup and recorded this album over a couple of years. The bassist did the whole production. It sounds amazing. It's one of the best sounding records I've ever heard. And he recorded and engineered it and mixed it all himself. He's amazing. He should get more work from bands, frankly. But the singer is awesome. His name is Phil. He's great. The guitar, bass, drums, they're all really good musicians. If you like sort of the accessible versions of Dream Theater and Haken, that's really, I think, where this band lies. They have really spectacular instrumental moments, but also really good vocals, really good harmonies, some kind of quirky songs like Earworm, which is one of my favorites of the year. That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
There's a video for that. I really, I can't stress this enough. If I was ranking albums, this would be very, very high up there for me. And I really hope this is a band that doesn't just make one album and then go back to their lives and forget about being a band, because I think they really have something strong to build off of on this.
I'm with you, dude. That's a big surprise for me this year. That song, Earworm, is one of my favorites as well. It's a really, really solid band. They sound amazing. And it's my number 3.
Oh,
Cool.
And my
Daniel
mirror.
Daniel keeps jumping in with his rankings so early. It's number 4 for me. It's a great album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, Vic had it as his number 2 album of the year. So yeah, quite a few votes on this one. Yeah. So No Spoon, Opus, check it out. And give those guys a follow on socials or watch their videos, something like that. Let's keep them going as a band. Would be great. Okay, so moving on.
And
Next
listen
one.
to their songs about Simpson. It's a very interesting lyrical choice, Simpson.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, you'll see.
We got
And
Oh, pattern seeking.
pattern
That's
seeking
me, right?
animals, spooky action at a
Yay.
distance.
okay, so that's one of my albums. And so PSA, excuse me as I look down to read my notes, but Pattern Seeking Animals, Spooky Action at a Distance. It's a great album. It's more PSA. If you like PSA, you're gonna like this. I think this album might be their longest yet. Has a lot of songs. They're all great. It's kind of I don't want to say a spin-off band of Spock's Beard. If you're not familiar with them, that might be like a good intro segue into them, but they are much, much more than that. They have their own particular sound. They have very interesting options for like instruments and stuff. They bring horns and different other instruments, and they sound great. Some of my favorite songs, it was actually tough to pick a favorite song because I think they're all around the same level. They're really, really solid. But He Once was the one that I picked as my favorite. But I also really like Clouds That Never Rain and Man Made of Stone. But yeah, this is a really good album. I think it starts off really, really good, and then it kind of slows down a little bit for me, especially with Bulletproof, which is a song they re-recorded from Spock's. It's a song that I never really, really jived with. But in general, I think it's a really good album, and I really like it.
Sold.
Kind of ties in nicely
it's-
with the
Yeah.
news.
Great.
The news this week
Great
that
album.
Spox is not dead. They're touring.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
That's good to hear.
I
A
think
good
you.
part
I think
about-
you nailed the explanation of this one. Honestly, if it's a band, if you're familiar with what they do, it's more of that. A few new surprises on it, but real solid music from them. Ted continues to be just an amazing singer, And John's a great writer, man. He just keeps churning these things out. They've done 4
Yeah,
albums in less than 5 years, so it's pretty crazy.
I was going to
yeah, it's
say the
insane.
most prolific band in modern prog rock. I think at this point, it's a tie between them and like the Flower Kings. I think so.
Probably. Yeah.
Any top fivers on this one? I don't think right. I didn't see any of this. All right, moving on.
Still good though. Check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're spinning it. We
Okay.
are spinning it.
And
Okay,
it's Avkrufrus. Nice.
Acust, the approbation. Kyle, is that you?
That is me. Yeah. So Acust, the approbation. If you like Opeth, Porcupine Tree, and band names that are impossible to pronounce, then look no further than Acust. So their debut album, The Approbation, for me, and I think for a lot of others, is a standout prog metal album this year. The band are from Norway, and as I was reading actually the Prog Report review of this album, it was the lifelong dream of longtime collaborators Martin Utby and Simon Bergzeth. Yes, that's Simon Bergzeth. And so they actually recorded this in a remote cabin in Norway, which is kind of a fun detail. And the album does, in fact, feel kind of like isolated and introspective, and it kind of fits that. So the music is a mix of heavy and soft elements, both complex and kind of beautiful and subtly simple elements. A lot of good tracks on this one. The Pale Moon, Isolation, and The Great White River. It's a good one. This is a good one. This is not exactly like in my wheelhouse in terms of musical style, but if it is, you're gonna love it. It's a very strong album, especially considering it's a debut. That is Acust. Anyone else think it was good?
I think it
Yeah,
was
I liked
good.
it.
It was quite a surprise as well because I had some resistance with this band from preconcepts of the name alone. You know, that's just it. I was like, dude, I don't like this name. I don't want to listen to this band. But I actually gave it time and I love the album. I think it's awesome. And Roy kept bugging me. You gotta check this. It's right up your wheelhouse. You're gonna love this. And he was right. So it's a great album. If you like that style of prog metal, you're gonna love this.
Yeah, I think it's one of the best albums of the year too. I really like it. I keep telling people about it. The name aside, obviously, I mean, whatever. But there's 2 long epics at the end, over 10 minutes, that are just fantastic.
Hmm.
The production is awesome. Again, it's very DIY. All these bands are doing it, but like the singer Simon, just he was the engineer and mixer of this whole thing, and it just sounds phenomenal. Um, and yeah, I mean, it comes from that Opeth Porcupine Tree sound, like you said. So a lot of there's a lot of thinking like, well, then are they really doing something original? But I think they sort of tweak it in their own way where it is, and I think it's worth it. And they're just starting. Again, it's a band that we need new bands. We need new bands to present some stuff and keep building this genre and make more records. So again, like No Spoon or Ocarus, these guys, like, give them a listen, give them a chance, follow these guys, and just let's see where they go. I think there's a lot of promise here with these guys. I do.
Hmm.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
So,
Next.
Let's do it.
Oh, okay.
Periphery.
Periphery.
Okay.
Periphery 5. Gent is not a genre. I think that's me. Yeah, look, these guys, if you know what they do, it's real aggressive, real, you know, really, really heavy, a lot of growl vocals. But I think that this album, they found a way to make it the most accessible that a band like this can without abandoning what they're about. It's very much sort of a concept record with songs tying in together. There's a lot of great like string interludes and things, mixing the songs together, which is a nice element. There's a really great ballad kind of in the middle, which is surprising for them. It's a beautiful song. The first couple are amazing. Atropo is one I really like a lot. The second track. I think everything that the band has done is built up to this one. I think it's their best record by far. And again, the production is outstanding. It's a little long. If I had a criticism, it's a little long. It's a lot to sit through in one listen. because they just throw a lot at you musically. But I think if you were hesitant to ever check out these guys because it's too heavy, there's a lot of great choruses, a lot of great melodic moments on this, and you can always just skip through the one or two songs that get really like intense. But I think that shouldn't put off an album like this. But again, love it, fantastic record.
Matt
Yep.
Halpin,
Anybody?
what a drummer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Solid
I
album.
haven't
Somebody
spent
likes a concert, I
much
know
time with
that.
it, but it's a good one.
Wait, everybody at the same time. Okay, Kyle.
Go, John.
We'll start raising our hands or something,
Yeah.
and then call on us. It's a great album. It is not, again, like my go-to style. It's very aggressive. Like the first song, I'll sometimes put it on if I'm in a bad mood, and then then I feel like I'm in less of a bad mood because I'm like, well, I'm not that angry. But it does sound great, and I like how they link the songs, like you said, the interludes and everything, and the in-betweens are great. But it is such a dense album. It reminds me of Between the Buried and Me from last year or the year before, where it's fantastic, but it's like I can only take it in short, like a song or two at a time. But if you like this style, like I would also argue that it's perhaps their best album. And I've been listening to them for a while, and I've seen them in concert, and what they do it as well as anybody. So.
Yeah, I mean, with every album that they've put out, I have a hard time coming back to it because it's always been like a lot, and you never find yourself going, "Let me put that on." But I have with this one. This one has stuck with me. I will say that. That's what I like about it. Sorry, John. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that it's not my style, my go-to style also, but I was able to catch them in concert once, and it was just a fun thing to watch them perform. I think that's true with a lot of the things that I have, is that I may not like it as much on the album, but seeing something performed live makes a huge difference in my opinion.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, let's move on. Next one. I'm just gonna, if anybody has a tough, just let me know. Otherwise, I'm just gonna move on. Okay. Only 9 million albums to go through.
I mean,
Spin the
you know
wheel.
what's on our top 5, so
I
Yeah,
do.
but we
know.
have to say it.
speak now or forever hold your peace.
Oh,
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Mirror to the Sky.
Jeffrey.
this is me.
Jeff is going for the first time. Yay!
No, I did Peter
I'm
Gabriel.
kidding.
Pay attention.
Feels like the first time.
Feels like the first. We knew a song about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mirror to the Sky. So, I guess when I was thinking about this, the Quest was kind of Yes's coming out of rehab album. Where
Not
there'd
drug
been a
rehab.
a long period of relative inactivity, some significant band member changes, and found their feet with an album that I think it's fair to say most fans liked, but kind of hoped for different things. And I suppose now, having moved in a few years post that period, we have Mirror to the Sky. We first heard the single Cut from the Stars, and I think most Yes fans' initial reaction was it's punchier. It's got a more upfront sound than most of the last album, and for people who are enjoying this lineup and this era, and I know a lot of Yes fans just don't. But I think it was certainly a real step forward. Largely the same lineup, with the very notable exception of Jay Shellen replacing Alan White. Punchier sound. Certainly the bass and drums and their impact on this album are a very significant thing. It's certainly, in the majority of cases, a proggier album than The Quest, which probably had a more straightforward, more Steve Howe focused sound. Some really great tracks, and it goes without saying, the title track, a 14-minute epic with orchestra, with all sorts of shifts and movements, and absolutely brilliant closing section. One of my favorite Steve Howe guitar solos is the outro, or the last part of that song. So I really enjoyed this album as a Yes album, and I really enjoyed it as an album overall. To the extent that it's on my list of the year as
Yeah.
Yeah.
number 5.
Nice.
Woohoo! All right. It's very exciting. Okay.
Definitely at least an approach to return to form, right? Proggier,
Yeah, for sure.
more complex.
If you want to
kind
find
of
out what
drama-ish.
you can watch our Yes Wheel of Prog episode to find out where it ends up
Exactly.
on the album rankings. But yeah, solid, like you said, solid return to form a little bit, and the title track is amazing. I still think that's one of the best songs of the year too. Okay, moving on.
Yeah, for those of us who don't want to watch the Yes Wheel of Prog, you'll have to message me, tell me what tier it ended up in. I'm going to guess C tier. No? Okay. Guess I'll
I
never
honestly
know.
don't remember. All right, Riverside, ID Entity
All right.
or Identity.
Who's that? I wonder.
I wonder.
Okay. It's one of my albums. Okay. Riverside, an amazing band. Lots of great albums in their catalog, but this is the first one in 5 years. Their last one was Wasteland in 2018. It was a great album. I think Mario's still kept busy with solo albums and Lunatic Soul and all that. And this is actually my album of the year. Spoilers. My number one. Here's my prop I just made. Writing on napkins. So this is a more like fun album. It's not very characteristic for them. They're usually like mellower or more depressing. And this one, it goes into like interesting lyrical themes and stuff that makes you reflect and think, but it acts in a different way. The lyrics are like more raw, and it has a different kind of instrumentation as well. They have like some disco keyboards, and the bass is warmer. I really, really love this album. I think it's a concise. It's a collection of 7 songs, and they are really good. I think the beginning of the album, it's like a 1, 2, 3 gut punch with Friend or Foe, Landmine Blast, and Big Tech Brother, which is my song of the year. It's a song that's been stuck with me since I first heard this album. And I came to appreciate the epic more, which is the place where I belong. I think it's a really solid song. It's kind of weird sometimes, but it's really interesting. And they're clearly trying something new. And I was just listening to this album earlier in the morning while I was working out for the first time in months. And I think it still holds up. It's my album of the year for sure. Very solid, great lyrics, instrumentation, musicianship. It's just up there. So yeah, Riverside, ID Entity for me.
Riverside wouldn't be a band that I naturally kind of gravitate towards, but the compilations that they put out last year kind of gave me a chance to start exploring their music, and I really enjoy this one. I have to say, I really it quite pleasantly surprised me. I think it's really solid, and Marius has a album out this week as well, one of his sort of electronica ones.
Yeah, it's a solo album. And yeah, this one is more accessible, I think, too. And as slight correction, they released one song in between Wasteland and ID Entity for those collections that Jeff was talking about, a song called Story of My Dream, which is a really solid song.
Those are really good. I like that song a lot,
Yeah, it was great. And I got to see them in concert last year, and they're just amazing. I can't wait to see them again and see those songs live, the new ones. So.
Yep. Okay, so good
Go
wrap
Kyle,
up, Kyle.
go Kyle.
I just want to raise my hand. I don't want to talk over anyone. To me, the highlight of their career, their high water mark, was Love, Fear, and the Time Machine. And for me, everything since then has been not quite as good as that. And obviously, they had the death of was a guitar player, I think it was.
Piotr, yeah.
Yeah.
Piotr.
This one for me, you said it, Daniel. The first 3 songs are incredible, and then it kind of teeters out a little bit for me. So it just narrowly missed my top 5 for what it's worth, but they're one of my favorite bands. I always love what they do. Their sound is so good, and I love his bass playing. So check it out.
I will say that Riverside will resonate with you when you see them live for the first time. They played some of these tracks on Cruise to the Edge the last Cruise to the Edge, and I got to say that that really is the moment that Riverside connected with me when I saw them live for the first time on the cruise.
Live, they're awesome. He's a
They're
great
just
front man singer. Yeah,
unbelievable.
good stuff. Any other top fives on this one? John has it as his number
hey.
4, and
Nice.
Vic had it as his number 5. So a few rankings for Riverside. Nice.
I
Yeah,
really,
great
I
album.
really got into that album too. Yeah.
Okay, let's
right.
let's do it.
It's like my number
Okay.
6 or 7.
All
What are we
right.
gonna get? What are we gonna get?
Uh-oh. Everyone sit down.
Oh yeah.
Everyone
Just
take a
go
seat.
ahead and brew
Yeah,
a pot of
see you
coffee
later.
and
See you
drink as
later.
we'll talk about this.
Avenged
Bye.
Sevenfold, Life. Oop, I miss. There's a typo there. Life is but a dream. All right, go ahead. ...
All right, so I'll just say this right off the bat before I start reading my prepared statement. I'm the only reason that this album is being discussed today. So if you, like the rest of the Prog Reporters, hate this album, then just go take a 5-minute break. All right, so Avenged Sevenfold, they're a band that I've liked for a while. I saw them back when the Rev was in the band, and my friends from high school all really liked this band. And, they started like metalcore, and they've kind of evolved more and more into, at times even just a straight-ahead kind of heavy metal hard rock band. My favorite album of theirs, and not just because Mike Portnoy played drums on it, but was 2010's Nightmare. Definitely just a metal album. 2016's The Stage, the first album with Brooks Wackerman. It was a concept album. It dealt with like outer space. They released it without any singles, and it actually kind of flopped. It had prog elements, but it still was not prog. But I'm proud to say that this album, Life is But a Dream, is finally a prog metal album to me from start to finish. And it's a sort of prog metal Sgt. Pepper's, if you will. That's how Mike Portnoy talked about it, and I think that holds. And it's got influences all the way from System of a Down to Daft Punk, and even some Frank Zappa and Frank Sinatra. So for me, it's eclectic throughout, both in terms of instrumentation and arrangement, but also in terms of production. It's a little detail, but in the song Cosmic, which is my song of the year, who is breathing so deep over there? Did someone just run on a treadmill? Am I
Yeah,
getting you that
I'm
excited
hearing
by
that
talking?
too.
There's some kind of
Darth
hissing. I
Vader.
can't figure out where it's from.
I think it's when Jeff is typing funny messages, he starts breathing deeply. Anyway, so they used multiple drum sets on the song Cosmic to achieve the sound that they're after. If you don't think this album is prog, go listen to the 3 songs that run one after another, G.O.D. It's absolutely inspired by Frank Zappa and prog rock. It sounds like something as it starts from Dream Theater. So why is it my favorite album of the year? And I don't have much more to say, but it combines what I like most about music. It's aggressive, it's musically diverse, it's unexpected, it's got great vocal harmonies, the lyrics are deep and profound. I love the artwork, and the drumming is some of the best of the year for me. This is a band at their creative peak, a big band that doesn't need to do anything creative or out there, and they did it anyway, so I applaud them for that. So it is my album of the year. I've listened to it many, many, many times. I love it. So go listen to it, and there's a good chance you won't like it.
So
No,
I'll speak about it.
That's not true.
This is a band.
I got to say, sorry, Dan. I got
No,
to
that's
say
okay,
that
man. Go
on
ahead.
your prompting, Kyle, I went and listened to it, and it most certainly is prog, no doubt about it. It's extremely diverse, very varied, and yeah, I need to listen to it some more. It's certainly not what I expected. And to everybody out there, if you just think it's going to be very heavy in your face thrash metal, it's not. Go listen to it.
I wasn't really expecting that, but I've played a lot of Avenged back then when I had like cover bands and stuff, and it was never really a band that I connected with in any way, you know. But Kyle played some of it for me in the car when we were together in Nashville earlier in the year, and it actually surprised me some parts of it. It didn't make me go back to it or try it, but I might. So that's what I have to say.
That's all I
But it
can
was
ask
cool.
for.
Yeah, it was interesting.
Uh,
Definitely not what I expected.
Look, again, I think it's never a band that I connected with either. I always appreciated that they were a popular metal band that had good guitar playing and stuff like that. So I always thought that was kind of cool, but it's just vocally, something about it just never worked for me. again, because Kyle just kept telling us about it and begging us to listen to it, I did. And look, I think it's an interesting record, because if I would have just put it on and gone through the first 2 or 3 songs, which is what I did originally, that sort of sounded like what they do, and I sort of checked out. But when you stick with that album, the whole back half of it is bonkers, and becomes all sorts of different styles and things, and then it becomes kind of interesting that they chose to do it that way, where it's sort of heavy in the beginning, and then the second half becomes very progressive with orchestras and pianos and Zappa songs and all that kind of stuff. But that stuff I actually found interesting and cool. Again, it's just not a band I'm going to listen to. Something about it just doesn't click, but I appreciate what they tried to do with at least the back half of the record. So, may never show up on one of our rankings again, but hey, why not? For Kyle, we did it. So Avenged Sevenfold.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it.
All right. Okay, let's move on.
That was like my Make-A-Wish moment. Can we talk about Avenged, please?
What do we got? Is it stopping?
RPWL.
Oh, wow. Okay. Is that me?
No, it's Jason Bieler.
No,
Yeah.
Jason
No.
Bieler, yeah.
Jason
Bieler postcards from the Asylum.
From the Asylum. It's actually similar in a way to coming right off of talking to Avenged Sevenfold, like an artist that we may not have included as a prog artist, who never really was a prog artist. Quick recap: was in Saigon Kick back in the 90s. They had a few hits. Not really a hair metal band. They got kind of roped into that. Anyway, they broke up a long, long time ago, and he's had a solo career. The last 2 solo albums, including this one, started branching out a little bit into incorporating a few different styles and things. Prog artists as guests. Ryo Akamoto plays on this one. He had Devin Townsend on the last one. So he tries different things. I think that's where it becomes sort of something that works in the progressive world, is that it's an album of really eclectic styles all over the place. Marco Miniman plays on this song Flying Monkeys, which we've covered before, which is just an insane song with crazy drumming, very progressive. There's a song called Deep Blue at the end, which is sort of kind of an epic track with lots of vocals. He's an amazing musician. And it's just a cool, fun record. It's a bit long. Maybe could have done without maybe 2 or 3 songs, just sort of make it easier to get a full listen, but there's not really a bad song on it. And if you like sort of straightforward rock with a proggy twist to it, I think that's where this lies a little bit more. I wouldn't say it's actually a traditional prog record, but I think it belongs here because it is just so adventurous and interesting. And I think it's just really, really good stuff. It's been in my playlist for a year, easy. So, anybody?
Yeah, I love this album, and there's a song on there called "Sweet Eliza," which is in my top dozen songs of the year. I really think it's very, very beautiful indeed. Give it a listen, everybody. It's great.
Yeah.
Great album.
I think you had it in your top 5, Nick, as your number 5.
No, it was kind of number 6 for me. Subsignal just edged it out. Yeah.
Oh, so I don't have. Okay, well, I had it
Subsignal
as your
was my
number 5 here.
But I would have it as a close number 6. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Cool. All right. Moving on.
I'm going to give him props as you spin that wheel for his lyrics. His lyrics are very funny.
Oh yeah,
And
the whole album cover thing with the different names and people in production, that's the funniest thing to me.
Yeah, it's all fake players and all that stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Kite Parade Retro.
Alrighty, I'll take this one. This is my number 3 album of the year. I really love it. It's this guy in the UK, Andy Foster, who's not even, as I understand it, a professional musician, and didn't really have a band going until a couple of months ago when he did his first gig as Kite Parade, and does a lot of, I think, basically sang and played everything except drums on the album himself, but uses 2 extremely competent and celebrated drummers in Nick DiVigilio, who's well known to everybody in prog, and Joe Crabtree of Wishbone Ash. And the drumming definitely takes this album to another level. The keyboards, miraculously, it turns out, are programmed by Foster himself, but they really do sound very symphonic and very human and very live sounding. This is the second album that he's done, and it's got one particular high point on it, which is a song called Wonderful, which could easily be my favorite song of the year. Very majestic, very sweeping, highly melodic. And then the album goes all over the place to some very driving rockers driven by Nick's drumming, all the way through to a very impressive epic song called Merry-Go-Round, which is really what everything that a prog fan would expect. It's really a romp and a feast of prog from beginning to end. It's got all kinds of groaning guitar solos played by Foster and layered harmony vocals. Really, really, really as good as anything else that's out there. I looked for low moments on the album. I really didn't find any. The production's great. Even the artwork, which is this sort of 60s retro in accordance with the name of the album look, all very high quality, and all in all a very fine package indeed. And if anybody out there hasn't given it a listen yet, I really would encourage you to do so. It's a very fine album indeed, and now that it's a band which has done a couple of gigs, they really deserve our support, everybody. So Kite Parade Retro, definitely one of my top 5. I would give it my number 3 pick of the year.
I loved this album when it first came out. The last album he did, I think it's called The Way Home, was really good, but I think this one he took it up a notch. I love every song on this. Wonderful, You're Right is great. I like The Speed of Light. It's in my top dozen songs of the year. The vocals, the way this guy writes harmonies and incorporates all that stuff, and his playing, it's just so skilled and so good. I think this is music for fans of Neil and Spock's Beard and all that kind of prog stuff that we don't hear so much anymore. But it has that kind of rock vibe, but it also incorporates great musicianship. It's just really fun, and he's just a revelation just to come out of nowhere like this and create this kind of music.
It reminds me a lot of Frost. Sounds
Frost,
like
very
that.
much so. Yeah, agreed.
Yes.
And we did interview. Check out. We did an interview with him earlier this year, and I mean, he's a really humble guy, and I mean, he doesn't make any big deal of his kind of, his own musical skill, and it's just playing the album. It's amazing to think one person put it all together at that kind of level. Really, really good.
Yeah, he really downplays it as if he's not a good musician, and it's like just ridiculous because he's really brilliant. All right, so let's move on. Kite Parade, it's a good one.
Did anyone else have that in the top 5 or no? It narrowly missed mine.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Narrowly missed mine.
A artwork of the year.
Diane, Pictures from the Other Side.
That is me. And literally, I mean, this is pretty much new out in the last couple of days, actually, when we're recording this. Rob Reed, the person behind it, familiar from a range of things, including Magenta in particular. Cyan was a band that he had that predated that, who made several albums in the 1990s. And he's done, again, something which is probably quite unusual in the genre, that he's gone back and basically done new versions of previous albums. So For King and Country came out 2 years ago, and this is the follow-up. And again, it is new versions of most of the songs from the original version of Pictures from the Other Side. The band lineup, very, very different. Peter Jones, who, again, I assume people watching this will be pretty familiar with from Tiger Moth Tales and all sorts of other things, being the principal vocalist, and a guitar player, probably less of a household name, but for anyone paying any kind of attention to the British prog scene in the last 15, 20 years, Luke Mashin is very much an incredible guitar player. And they're supported also by Dan Nelson, who plays bass in the band. just some really, really great performances here. Peter Jones's voice just is amazing and covers so many ranges. The songs are really good for things that are, I guess, songs that kind of disappeared maybe into history. And I just think, again, it's probably in a similar vein, I suppose, to the Kite Parade album. Just very solid classic prog, great playing, great songs. If you've never heard of it, check it out. Support it. Support. An artist who isn't on a big name label but is producing big name quality music.
Right on.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I
really
love
cool to
everything that
redo.
Rob Reed.
Yeah, he's great, and to take that old music and really give it a fresh recording, and he changes the music a lot, adds stuff, including Peter on it. It's good stuff. Very much, more of that traditional neo-prog sound. If you like that kind of stuff, it's definitely one you're gonna like. All right, let's move on.
No top fives, I take it. Okay.
Let's do it. Woo!
All right. Moon Safari, Himmelbacken, Volume 2.
Nice.
So I am defiantly taking this one, guys. It is my number one album of the year. Yeah. And by a country mile, actually. I've been a Moon Safari fan forever. I used to play Moon Safari to my kids when they were first born, and I'm still doing that today. It's an unbelievably competent lineup of 6 fine musicians who are not only brilliant instrumentalists at everything they do, but also fantastic singers. Now, the lead vocalist is Petter Sandström, but the main vocal arranger is Simon Acust, who is just a next level vocal arranger, very influenced by the original sound of the Beatles and according to Simon, not so much the Beach Boys, but predecessors and influences of the Beach Boys. And you can hear that on this album in particular. It's been a long time coming, 10 years in the waiting. And when you give it its first spin, immediately you realize that Moon Safari are back, just as good as anything they've ever done before. Now, this is Himmelbacken Volume 2. Himmelbacken Volume 1 having been released about 10 years ago, 13 years ago, actually. And it's a kind of an all-round synopsis of who Moon Safari are. It starts off with a song called 1980X, which has a very intentionally Van Halen keyboard sound on it. And from there, it kicks off into a pop song called Emma Come On. And then comes one of the most unbelievable tracks that you've ever heard, which is the epic called Teen Angel Meets the Apocalypse. Now, the album hasn't been released yet. And I got to say to you guys, well, you've already heard one song, which is A Lifetime to Learn How to Love, and Between the Devil and Me also has been released. So Between the Devil and Me is emblematic of what this album is, but it, as good as it is, it doesn't really take you to the places that the epic teenage does, and it's just from beginning to end an astoundingly accomplished album. If you like melody, this is going to be right up your alley. If you love complex, intricate instrumentals, and the band say that they're not necessarily categorized, or they don't categorize themselves as a prog band, but it is prog for sure, from beginning to end. And I would say that This makes Moon Safari, again, one of the 3 or 4 most important progressive rock bands to come out of Sweden. And you know who the other ones are. So I'll just leave it with that. It's definitely my number 1 album of the year. I was blown away by it in first listen. I'm blown away by it still today, and I can't stop listening to it. It's addictive. Go listen to it. Himmelbacken Volume 2 by Moon Safari, my number 1 album of the year.
Yeah. And my number 2 album.
By the time this podcast airs, it will have been out. So,
Right.
that's okay.
And you can read my very positive review.
Wow. This
So
one
everyone's
ran the
ranking
table.
this one. All right.
So everybody.
So we expect
has
this one to rank very
There you
high.
go.
Yeah,
It's
everybody
brilliant.
has this one pretty
This is a
high.
great album. The epic is mind blowing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah, this
The
album all
vocals
around
are
is just awesome.
They're just outstanding.
Oh, and I should mention Rich Mouse's production. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. Just rounded out by this incredibly fat, rich production by Rich Mouse. It deserves a mention.
Yeah, it's
All right.
it's
Album. I have to admit,
it's remarkably
they never,
great.
I mean, they were a band whose name I knew, but even whenever like Roy kind of sent it to us, I was going, oh, is that? Oh no, that's an album. That's Air's album title, isn't it? Like, it was kind of floating out there. I'd never really heard them, and I kind of, okay, I'll give it a listen. I went, wow, really, really, really enjoyed it. Fantastic
Yeah, it
album.
blows you
Definitely
away.
top 5 for me.
You've never gone
All
cruising,
right.
Jeff, but I can tell you they dominate on Cruise to the Edge. They really do.
Mm.
And they have this number at the end of their set where they just sing a cappella, the 6 of them, and they say goodnight in a cappella fashion. And that just really rounds it up and says it all about this band.
Cool.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, I think we all like
Good
that one.
stuff.
Yeah, we're halfway through
there.
now. How are we doing?
Here we go.
Little over on time, but we'll speed up. Oh, we won't speed up.
I
Well-
do have music to
All
play you
right.
off if you talk too long. I'm just letting you know.
Well, I was going to say, if the rest of you guys want to take a comfort break at this point, I would half expect that.
We should.
Um,
We didn't say the name of the album. We should say it's Stephen Wilson Harmony Codex. We should have announced that, but go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah.
Indeed, yep. Stephen Wilson, the Harmony Codex. Cut to the chase. It's my number 1 of the year, and a little shame.
It's Kyle's 35th.
It's
Out of
the yin and
24.
yang of because Avenged Sevenfold's my 35th, so where it's very
Fair
much
enough.
yin and yang here. Yeah, look, I mean, what can be said about this album that hasn't already been said, apart from you need to listen to it. Some people love it, some people hate it. Some people say it's the best thing he's ever done. Some people say it's the worst thing he's ever done. For me, I enjoy the vast majority of what Stephen Wilson does across a whole range of genres, and this is an album that I think I said at the time, if someone had never heard of him and wanted to get a kind of cross section of a lot of the things that are his influences and his output, it's as good an album as that. If most people watching this will have read a lot of the press. It was very much designed as an immersive listen in an Atmos setup, and I got a chance to hear one of those playbacks earlier on in the year, and it was fantastic. But for me, it's not just an album that works in a theater with 96 speakers. And I guess the tracks on it fall again into probably 2 categories. There are 4 or 5 things that are probably more traditional songs. What Life Brings, Rock Bottom, Beautiful Scarecrow, Economies of Scale. In fact, there's 6 actually songs that are about 5 minutes or less. And then there are 4 long, quite experimental pieces woven together. It's not really a concept album in terms of having an actual story. There's a theme that runs through it, both in how the music's put together and the lyrics about the concept of an infinite staircase, which relates to a short story that Stephen included in his autobiography. Um, but for me, it's just an album that I keep going back to and listening to over and over again, and I enjoy it and hear new things within it every time, which I think is what keeps me returning to it. And a special shout out for Nico Solnev's guitar on it is really stand out as well. So yeah, for me, it's definitely number one album of the year.
Yeah,
Well, I will say that for better or for worse, whatever this says about the album, it blew 4 of the speakers in my car.
Well,
And so sonically, it's pretty powerful. That has to be said.
yeah, it
Yeah.
blows. That's for sure.
No, it doesn't. Let's be fair. I really, really like this album. I think it
Had to
has
make
some really, really high moments. To me, specifically, Impossible Tightrope, as someone who really enjoys the fusion jazzy kind of style, that kind of plays with that a little bit in the proggy and rock arrangement as well. And What Life Brings. To me, that song is just the most beautiful thing ever. It's as good of a ballad as he ever wrote. And it has some other great moments, but at the same time, it has like the title track, which is just like sounds for 9 minutes. That kind of stuff doesn't really attract me. I like listening to it a couple times. It's a good one to have like good headphones on and listen if you're in an airplane and kind of tired, you know. But in general, the album kind of, you said this album either is someone's favorite or the least favorite ever. To me, it's somewhere in the middle, and I think it's really good. It has very high highs and a few lower lows. But yeah, I like it.
Oh, cool. All right. Anyone else in their top 5? Can we have the
No surprise
the
there.
death-
Cricket, yeah, cricket sounds. Yeah.
I just love when there's albums that it's like, well, you didn't listen to it on the right setup. It's to me, Moon Safari, put that on an old boombox and I'd enjoy it. But I digress. Let's spin the
All right.
wheel.
Let's move on.
But did you have the 2 rear speakers on at the right frequency? I don't know. Whatever.
You don't need that to enjoy it.
Yeah.
I don't need that. to
Ooh,
enjoy
this
it.
is a good one.
Okay.
Okay. I think this is me. Advent Horizon, A Cell to Call Home. Again, a recurring theme here on the podcast. Another brand new band for us. They've been around for a while, but this is their first album in quite a while. That's a bit more official. Their first full length release was maybe 10 years ago or something, and then they took a really long break. They released like a song or something, and then now they're back with this full album. And it features a whole bunch of crazy guests. I mean, Jordan Rudess is on it for a song. Dave Maros plays on a song. Randy McStein plays on a song. The main guy, Riley, who's the singer and guitar player, is just phenomenal. Man, this is such a fantastic album. I honestly, I just can't believe how good of an album it is. It follows sort of in line with that No Spoon kind of vibe, maybe a little less on the heavy prog metal side, but vocally and melodically and with the hooks and everything, it's just really fantastic. Just amazing songs at every turn. There's a song called Your Flaws that's a ballad with this female vocalist. I apologize for not remembering her name, but
Yeah,
it's
that's one of my
just
favorites.
fantastic. The song Control is there's a second half of that song that if I could just play as, this is my favorite 45 seconds of the year. It's that part. It's outstanding. And the long epic Cell to Call Home is just awesome. This is great. It's just great. That's all I can say about it. There's nothing to dislike about this record. The vocals, the harmonies, the playing, the guests. I mean, I'll tell you the honest truth. I did not remember that Jordan Rudess even played on this record. Maybe I had read it somewhere. I didn't know it at the time. And that his part comes on the song. And I'm telling you, I immediately went, wait a minute. That sounds like Jordan Rudess. That has
Yeah,
to be.
it's pretty
It's so
identifiable,
distinct.
yeah.
It is
Yeah.
so his sound, which is so cool. Yeah, I think these guys are from Utah. Again, just starting to really get their thing together. I would love to see a tour with No Spoon and Advent Horizon. I would go anywhere to see that. So I can't praise this album enough.
Yeah, I'm with you, dude. I think it's one of the strongest albums of the year. I think it's been an album that I've been listening to a lot these past few weeks. And one thing that it does well is that it keeps it fresh all the time. Not just because of the guests, but I think musically it goes in a lot of different and interesting places. And for that, it is my number five album of the year.
Nice. Oh, Kyle
Number
has
three
it
for
as his number
Kyle.
Wow.
three. Nice. And Victor had it as his number four album. So we got quite a few votes on this one, which is
I
cool.
must give
Yeah.
another listen.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yo, man, you'll love
You would
this.
really enjoy it,
Actually,
Nick.
it's
Yeah.
if you like Subsignal and what and Frost and what I think you'll like this. Yeah, I won't say it sounds like those bands, but it fits in that area of kind of what those bands do, you know. Um, so cool. Yeah, Event Horizon is awesome. Okay, moving on.
Let's do it.
We need to have a Prog Report music festival with all these bands that keep breaking up for 10
we
years
go.
or whatever.
Another prog from home, maybe.
Okay,
All
the
right,
actual best
Haken
cover art of the
Fauna.
year.
That's
For
that's
sure.
Yeah.
that's mine here, and I've enjoyed Haken for quite some time, but I listened to him for short periods of time, but now getting ready for this, I was again kind of playing this on repeat with all the other albums that I was reviewing, and it really sunk in a lot more. I'm going to have to go back to their older things again. It's your good traditional Haken material. It's got your good prog metal, almost almost techno a little bit in there. It's got a kind of a Zappa-esque, Cockroach King-esque Elephant, Never Forget in there, which is a different feel to it. But it's a very, very cool album. I think Nightingale is one of my standout songs on it, but that was actually a 2022 release. At least the song was.
Mhm.
But I can't wait I think they're coming around again soon here. So it's just a very good prog metal album all the way around. Very very enjoyable all the way around. I'm sure
Yeah,
you guys can add your parts to it too.
I think it's a very different sounding album for them, especially compared to the previous two. And of course,
Yeah,
it's the first album with Pete Jones back in the band as a keyboard player. I think he does a great job, and he brings in his very individual and particular sound. This album has two of my favorite songs of the year. My favorite being Alphabet of Me, which brings a very
yeah,
new, particular sound to the band. It's a song I've listened to a lot. And there's other amazing songs like Islands in the Clouds and Sempiternal Beings. And in general, I just think it's a really strong album. It barely missed my top five, but I really, really like this one. And I'm excited to see them live again next year and playing a bunch
absolutely.
of this material live. So yeah, it's a good
Yeah.
one. As always, they always deliver. And I think the guitar work is great. The drums they just get better and better and more creative. And Ross is just sounds amazing in this album as well. So yeah, it's a good
Yeah,
one.
very good.
I loved it. I think it's as good as a lot of the stuff they've done before. Maybe just a tad under some of their best stuff. But they've been around a while and they keep finding ways to keep it interesting, adding a few new elements without repeating themselves. The playing and musicianship is as amazing as ever. It's hard. I mean, you're comparing, now they're at the point where you start to compare every new album with the three or four best albums they ever made.
Hmm.
And that becomes a
Largely.
challenge for every band that gets to that level. And so I think that's where this album maybe suffers, is just that it's a tad under The Mountain or Affinity or these amazing records that are classics now for us. But by every measure, it's amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, they're at the top of
Yeah,
bands.
facts, dude.
They've
The
reached
album
that
cover is just
part.
hilarious. I just absolutely love the album cover.
Yeah. Oh, they always nail
Yeah.
the art style for everything.
Yeah.
Even like tour posters and shirt designs, everything's always really, really awesome.
Hmm.
Yeah, so they're doing
Even I
a U.S.
purchased.
tour
Oh,
coming up called it's an evening with Haken in
Right.
some bigger venues where they're going to be playing the full album and plus some other stuff. So, it's a good chance to really get to see them and probably a longer show and the whole thing. So it'll be really cool. And they're on the Cruise to the Edge too coming up. So Haken and Vic had this one as his #1 album of the year.
Oh,
Should
nice.
mention that.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That's cool.
Shocker.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. What we're getting is
Oh boy, we're getting ah.
yeah, the Flower
Right, the
Kings. Yeah.
It is
Flower
the Flower
Kings.
Kings.
Look at you now.
Okay, so I'm going to take this one. Well, one of the most prolific bands around, as are the Swedes, and their third album since I think 2019 or 2020. The Flower Kings continue to deliver. I think that this is right up there with some of their best material of the past, like Paradox Hotel and so on. You won't be disappointed if you're a Flower Kings fan, and I think also to newer fans who are just discovering the band for the first time, this is a good one. Now, the whole flavor of the thing is kind of 60s flower power, back to that kind of hippie theme that I guess the name the Flower Kings would indicate. There are some exceptional performances on it and exceptional songwriting. For their 16th album, you would think to yourself, okay, there are likely to be a couple of weak moments on it, but really not. It's an extremely consistent album and very mature. It's an album delivered by the umpteenth iteration of the band, but very loyal to the band's traditional sound. So that's why I say it's pretty emblematic of everything they do. There are some 11 tracks on it. I think my favorite probably is the final track, Father Sky. Sorry, the second last track, Final Sky, Father Sky. It's really good. The instrumentation alone makes it one of my favorite moments of the year. And I'd like to give a special mention to the drummer Mirko de Mayo. This is his second album with the Flower Kings. Really an exceptional performance throughout. I would say that this is probably my #4 album of the year. So it certainly makes it into my top 5 by a fair margin. Excellent songwriting, one of their best collections of songs yet. And it doesn't really make any difference whether you see it as one long thematic work with 12 or 13 constituent songs or as 12 or 13 separate songs. It's very consistent, very good quality in production and composition and performance. So I think that the
Nice.
Flower Kings Look at You Now is one of the top 4 of the year.
Nice. Great. Thanks for that. Yeah. Listen, they're just a consistent band. If you like Flower Kings, there's nothing not to like about this album, I think. Anybody else on this one? All right. Let's move on. We're wrapping up. We got 6 more to go. Thanks for sticking with us.
One for
You know,
each.
we're getting to learn about so much good music. It really, these are awesome albums. So
And speaking of new music,
Another good one.
hey,
The
this is
Anchorette.
me.
It all began with loneliness.
Is it the Anchorette or the Anchorette? We'll never know.
We'll never know.
I say the Anchorette. I don't know. So this is It All Began with Loneliness. It is a vivid and colorful journey through a variety of musical influences. For me, it feels like a mix of the jazzier side of 70s prog rock, sort of like King Crimson, but it also at the same time infuses modern prog metal. So it's got growling, blast beats, massive riffs, and I think this is like the 17th time we've mentioned them, but it reminds me a little bit of Opeth at times. But, you know, between them, Buried and Me, other bands that do that kind of thing where they'll mix in kind of straight ahead rock with poppier elements with, you know, like darker death metal type style. So anyway, the songs are adventurous, they're intricate, very clever, very surprising. It's a very creative album, and it's solid from start to finish. And so if you've not heard it yet, I think you'll love it. If there's anything you don't like, it's either going to be that it does feature too much with like saxophones and again like elements from sort of 70s like fusion prog, or you don't like the darker, heavier moments. But if you like both of those things and you like an eclectic sound, you're gonna love it. For me, best tracks: A Dead Man, Forsaken, and All Turns to Clay. But honestly, I like the whole album. So The Anchorette, go check it out. Great drumming on this one too.
Yeah,
And for
man.
me, it's my fifth favorite album of the
Oh,
year.
nice. It is my number six. It barely made it. I really love this album too. I think it's really consistent and strong. Uh, you say if you like a lot of different elements, you're gonna like it, and I do. I like when they have like blast beats and then saxophone and then a piano thing. It kind of goes everywhere a little bit in this album, but in a good sense. It still feels concise, still feels good. So yeah, one of my favorites as well. Also, another big surprise of the year, just like No Spoon. To me, my top five ended up being mostly new bands, which
Right.
it's a good
Same.
thing.
Yeah, that's been a lot of fun parts this year. Also, Andy Tillison plays on this album, which is cool.
Hmm.
And the drummer is actually this guy James Knoll who plays in this band Aviations, which also a really cool band to check out, a newer band. But yeah, I love this is a great album. It's so fun and surprising from beginning to end. It's very cool. I've been telling people about it. I say it's Opeth meets King Crimson. That sort of simplifies it a little bit.
Well, there
Which,
you go.
yeah, I think
I've
it
got
kinda
to I've got to
works.
call out Jeff. As you probably know if you watch our faces, we're always typing stuff, but I think this encapsulates this album so well. He says if you like music with blast beats and saxophone, you'll love it. So there you go. That's
Right
that's
on.
this album. It's
Vic
very
Vic
accurate.
had this as his number 3, so I'm gonna give him a shout for
Ah,
that.
Cool.
all right,
So
Vic.
Funny
if
because
you
I
vote,
cannot
so
see the chat, so I pretty much said that. Funny.
Oh,
yeah,
you
exactly.
did.
All right, the Anchorite, another cool band to check out. So I think we need a tour with some of these new bands.
I was going to say
Somebody,
that they're also going to be performing on the Prog Report Music Festival.
somebody needs to do this. Well, continuing the new bands, our good friends from Temic, Terror Management Theory.
Yeah, and this is one of my albums. So Tamik is a new band. It's comprised by ex Haken keyboardist. Oh my God, ex Haken keyboardist Diego Tejeda, our friend Eric Gillette from the Neil Morse band. Also, Simon Sandnes is the drummer, and the vocalist is Frederick. And they are awesome. They sound really melodic. It's a progressive metal band. Kind of makes a bunch of elements that make this kind of music sound good. They're melodic, they're heavy, genty, have those syncopated riffs, but also a lot of vocal harmonies and melodies. And it's it's a really good album. I think it brings like Diego has this very particular sound, and he has a lot of keyboard layers to the production. Some of like 8-bit video gamey sounding stuff to the songs as well, especially in the first one, Through the Sands of Time. It kind of showcases the band as a whole and how they mix together all these different elements, and it's really interesting. Sounds great. I think it's another Rich Mouser production, so naturally it's a great one. Um, so yeah, it has some of my favorite songs of the year. I would say Falling Away is my favorite. It's one of the singles. I'm glad they picked that one because it's a really strong song and showcases a lot of guitar solos and drum solos and the catchy choruses. It's a really nice showcase of the band. But also a couple other songs that I would like to highlight. It's Mothala. I'm not sure how we pronounce it, but it's um, I
Yeah,
think the closer album
the
of
last
the
song.
the
Yeah.
closer song, yeah, of the album, and it has like this beautiful choir in some of the parts that they had it recorded live in Norway, I think, and it just sounds like amazing. It's a very nice song. Another one I think it's a good intro to the band if you like Dream Theater. It's Skeletons. In the beginning, it kind of sounds like Separate Ways by Journey, but then it becomes crazy and has like this slap bass sound in the middle of nowhere. It's great. And Friendly Fire, which is an instrumental that sounds awesome as well. So yeah, it's a new band. They already have like live shows planned and scheduled, and I'm really excited to see what they come up next and with like shows and maybe new albums and stuff. So Temic, Terror Management Theory. It's my number 4 album of the year.
Right
Yay!
on.
Nice.
Rounding out my top 5. So yeah.
Cool. All right, solid start for those guys. Hopefully, we'll get to
Mhm.
see them on tour somewhere, catch a show.
And at the
All right,
recording of this podcast, it came out yesterday. So there
Yeah,
you
we
go.
got
true. So
we got
it's everywhere
4
on
albums
social
left.
media.
Home stretch.
4 albums.
Not a lot of bands have cookies with their album cover on it, so
Strong selling point.
Crownlands.
Crownlands. The album is Fearless.
That's mine. And I had never heard this band before. Roy sent something to me, probably definitely like February, March of this year, and it was very Rush oriented. And then I started watching the video that he sent and realized that there's only 2 members of the band performing Rush sounding music, and I'm a monstrous Rush fan, so there's so many elements in there that just they're from Rush songs. You've got um, you got Natural Science, 2112, By Tor and the Snow Dog, Xanadu, all these different bits from all these songs, and the major epic on here. The album's called Fearless. But the big epic is Starlifter, Fearless Part 2. The video of that, when they're actually live on stage performing, is just the 2-piece is just phenomenal to watch. Just to see Cody's the drummer and sings. He sounds like Robert Plant or early Geddy Lee. Kevin does everything else. He's got his double neck on. He's playing bass, guitar, pedals, keyboards, and he's just
All at the
doing
same
everything.
time.
Watching them
crazy.
all live, just 2 people, it's phenomenal. I watched your interview with Kevin recently, Roy, and he was saying that they're hoping to get back out on the road and maybe even add some touring members, and I hope I can see them while they're still just the two the people there. But I absolutely love it. I know it may not be for everybody, but that epic and Lady of the Lake off of Fearless, just phenomenal stuff for me. Just it really hit home for me, and therefore it made my number 3
Wow.
of the year.
Nice.
So
Very cool. Crownlands. That's a name to keep an eye on for sure. I think they're really something. All right, let's move on. Bottom 3. Or, sorry, I don't mean bottom 3.
Look
Last
at that
3.
wheel. Check out that wheel. Getting down to the end. What do we got? Trevor Rabin, Catatonia, RPWL. Uh-oh. Here we go.
All right, here we go.
All right.
yeah.
who's doing
I'm going to
this?
say
The
this in
real,
my.
the real album of the year, Trevor Rabin, Rio.
I was starting
Right,
to
Nick?
think you were rigging the wheel to have the best for last, Roy.
Yeah.
But no.
All right, so I'm gonna
If
say
only
this
I
in my
could.
best South African accent. Obviously, I'm very proud of this one. It's my number 2 album of the year, and not because he's South African, because it's excellent, guys. And it's 10 years in the making. Trevor's obviously been very busy with his film score, composition, and production. But he took his time over this one, and you can tell that he's just loving every moment. And we are the beneficiaries of that, really. It's such a varied, diverse, and eclectic, I guess, album that really, I guess, whilst it's got some very proggy moments on it, it embraces all kinds of other themes and musical styles, from country to straight ahead rock to blues, you name it. But ever present in every song is, of course, Trevor's amazing guitar playing and his really surprisingly at this age, very good vocals. It starts off with a rocker called Big Mistakes, which I think everybody has heard by now. It's kind of which is sort of reminiscent of Love Will Find a Way era, yes. And then, wow, it kicks in with Push, which is certainly in my top 5 songs of the year. Very proggy, highly intricate, really the deeper tracks of 90125 style, yes, with the amazing Vinnie Colaiuta on drums. Then one of the saddest, most poignant moments of the year is Oklahoma, which is, of course, about the tragic bombing in Oklahoma. And somehow Trevor manages to to pull the message off without getting tacky or in any way overly dramatic. There's slow country rock in Paradise. There's amazing heavy guitar playing in a song called Tandy, which is about the butchering of a South African rhinoceros by poachers. Then there's just jaunty rock in Goodbye, a cappella vocals in Tumbleweed, and of course the very South African sounding track Egoli, which is a vernacular name for the city of Johannesburg that I'm sitting in right now. And then it closes with this amazingly heavy blues rocker called Toxic. So this is really a triumphant return for Trevor. I can't say enough about it. My number 2 album of the year, Trevor Rabin's Rio.
All
Right on.
I'm
Well
shocked.
said.
I'm
I got to
shocked
say,
it's not your number one.
it was
Moon
jockeying with Moon Safari, I got to say, but Moon Safari took it in the end. But this is a very close.
John, you had this one ranked as well. Number 1 album.
Wow.
There you go.
It's amazing. His first solo album back in '89 or '92 or whatever. This is his second real one since then. He hasn't missed anything at all in between there. It's just everything is just perfect, I think. And I love it.
Yeah, well, Kyle, you asked me to reveal something, so I don't think it's any surprise that I'm going to reveal that this is my favorite album of the year. And of course, I'm biased. I did get to write the liner notes from it, and I've always said that Trevor is maybe my all-time favorite musician, alongside maybe Neil and a few others. But I just think it's awesome. It's everything I could have hoped for. I didn't expect an album again, and to have one come out and just cover. I just love how it covers almost 10 distinct styles. I think it's great. It goes from one thing to the next. All the while, the musicianship is great. The guitar playing is great. He does 90% of it himself. And it's an album that I've still been listening to since it came out. So yeah, I think it's just outstanding.
For me, I love the front half of the album. The back half of the album, less so for me. But the first 4 tracks I think are really, really superb.
Yep. All right, moving on. Last 2. What a odd
it.
choice for the last 2. The wheel is.
I'm gonna miss talking about Trevor Rabin's Rio in the new year.
No, don't worry about that.
We will never stop talking about it. All right, John. RPWL crime scene.
Yeah, they've been around for 20 years and 22 years, and I had never heard of them before. Also, so this is another one of these that it's been a joy to listen to them intensely for a couple of weeks now. And they were originally they're from Germany. They're originally a Pink Floyd cover band. The 4 letters are their 4 last names of the original members. But even after they switched a couple of members around, they kept the name of the band the same. But they're so heavily Pink Floyd influenced in what they write. And this album is a concept album, and it's all about true crime murders and so forth. It's kind of kind of a touchy subject to think about, but in reading some of the lyrics, it's really it's a fun, it's as weird as that sounds, it's a fun album. The music I just absolutely love too. The Pink Floyd sound of it. Yogi Lang's vocals are very much like what David Gilmour sounds like. The songs that just stand out for me, Red Rose, which just look into like what each of these songs original where the song comes from, the lyrics come from. Cold Spring Day in 22. There's I think that's a video that's out. King of the World is the epic on there, and that's another just phenomenal. And the production value, just listening to it in headphones, is just phenomenal. Absolutely love this album. I'm grateful that I'm able to get into this band now. I'm going to look into some of their previous stuff now.
Yep.
I first saw RPWL in Germany at the Lorelei Festival. I think it was in 2015 or 16. And they just got on and played a set of covers and blew everybody else off that stage. And it was all progressive rock covers. And then, of course, the original stuff came. And it's astounding. I also love King of the World. I think it's one of the top songs of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a great song. Great epic. I love his voice. I love the way he sings.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a fun album to listen to.
Yeah, I think the thing for me about it, there are a band that I have followed and listened to. For me, yeah, instead of fun album, I just found the subject matter, and again, I know I'm probably one of those people who analyzes the words a lot. I found it a tough listen, not musically. I just found it lyrically a tough listen.
Sure.
See, that's where you go wrong. Don't listen to lyrics.
Yeah.
And you put Steven Wilson as your number one. Come on, dude. How about those lyrics?
Nah, he's
Very
got great
uplifting
lyrics.
subject matter from Stephen Wilson.
Yeah, lovely.
Okay. Last one.
Okay.
We got. Let's see.
This is me.
What it could be.
Jeff, you need to turn off your mind, relax, and float downstream. When
So it
listening to
seems.
music.
Catatonia, Sky
Okay.
Void of Stars.
So I'm closing this thing out then. So
It's the sky.
Catatonia, it's a band I'm not super familiar with, but I've been listening to them for a while. I've seen them live once. It was a good show. This album is really good though. It's definitely in my top 10. It didn't quite make the top 5, but it's up there. It has a great flow. It starts heavier and then it gets mellower over time. But lots of great hooks. The choruses are awesome. I love the vocal lines. Jonas, which is the main guy and singer of the band, he has a very nice, soothing voice. This album is kind of a vibe. It's heavy, but it doesn't stress you out, you know? It's like a melodic, moody kind of vibe. And they used to be more, I don't know, more depressing sounding sometimes. This album doesn't sound like that a
Yeah.
lot. Their previous album, I think it was called City Burials, came out in 2020. It's an album I listened to a couple of times back then, but it never really connected with me. I think this new one, Sky Void of Stars, it's closer to Dead End Kings, and it has some of the proggier elements from Fall of Hearts. So it's a much easier listen to me, and I think it sounds great, it flows well. It has one of my favorite songs of the year called Author. I think it's the best chorus of the year. It's an awesome, awesome song. And of course, some of the other songs as well, which were singles too, like Atrium and Austerity. Awesome songs. Opaline is a great one as well. So yeah, I think this is
Yeah.
a really good album. It's up there for me with some of the greatest ones, and it kind of caught me by surprise because it was never a band I really connected with, but I gave this one a chance, like I did knowing some of the older ones, and it really surprised me. It's a great one.
Yeah, I agree. Same for me. It's not a band that I ever connected with that much, but I've loved this album. I keep returning to it.
Hmm.
I love the way it starts. Austerity is just killer.
Yeah, it's super
And then
heavy and
Opaline
riffy.
is one of my favorite songs of the year, and it just it's really good, man. I don't know, it's a hard band to explain. It's heavy, but at the same time, it's like you're saying, his voice is so relaxed, and it's
Hmm.
almost poppy at the same time. It's really a weird mix.
Yeah,
But I dig
definitely
it. I dig
interesting.
it a
Yeah.
lot. Yeah. So cool, man. All right. So we ran through 24 records. If you're still sticking with us,
Yeah.
thank you. That's
God
very
bless you,
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a year.
Let's go ahead and let me see. Let's get rid of this. And we're going to go to reveal our top. I have 11 albums that I put.
11.
This is recapping
Okay.
the podcast.
Time for the big reveal.
Because we had a tie. We had a tie for number 10 with, according to the votes, the Anchor It began with Loneliness, and Neil Morris, The Dreamer, Joseph Part 1 are tied for basically 10 and 11. Moving on, Peter Gabriel, IO is in at number 9. Avenged Sevenfold, Life is But a Dream is in at number
This
8.
is the weight of a number
Oh,
one. Yeah.
really?
Stephen Wilson, The Harmony Codex is in at number 7.
Hmm.
Wait, how did that
Haken
get ahead
Fauna.
of me?
Yeah.
is number 6.
Wait, hold on a second.
So it's
Demand
stop
a
there.
recount.
Show's over. Bye.
I demand a recount. I
all
know that
ranked.
Jeff and I were the only two that ranked these albums.
They're all the same points. Just that's how it worked out. Event Horizon, Celtic
Nice.
Holmes
Top
in at
five,
number
man.
5. Riverside ID Entity at number 4. No Spoon Opus at number 3. Trevor Rabin's Rio at number 2.
And number one
And
is
any guesses at what number 1 might be? Moon Safari.
Yeah!
Yeah!
Hooray!
Top 11 albums.
It's funny
because
because it's
Go to
it's a
Swedes.
showcase of the albums that we all like together, right?
Yeah.
Do we get
Well,
honorable
sort of.
mentions, Ray? I got 3. I got 3 honorable
yeah.
mentions.
All right, honorable mentions. Go ahead.
Just no
So,
track descriptions.
Okay,
Yeah,
no,
very
I
short.
think Mystery's Redemption is an excellent album, deserves a mention. We Came from Space Overlords technically is a 2023 album, right?
Yep. Love that
So I
one.
think that needs to be mentioned. And not really prog, but very good still is Bruce Seward's Luminescence.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that.
Beautiful record. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, I got 3 as well. One of them is a personal favorite of mine. It's an artist called Kinglet. He released an EP called Bouquet, which is amazing. It's instrumental prog and it's awesome. It's right up my alley. One of my favorite things released this year. The new Tesseract album, War of Being, is an album I spent a lot of time with this year as well. I really like it. And just highlighting one of my favorite songs, which is a new song by Vola called Paper Wolf. Not a new album yet, but a great song. Yeah.
Anyone else? Honorable mentions, Jeff?
Yeah. Solstice Light Up was one of the ones that would have been on my list for this year. Really enjoyed it. Haven't really checked them out before, and it's a good album. And I also enjoyed the. It's not technically new, but the Big Train, Ingenious Devices, the kind of orchestrally enhanced versions of a lot of their songs. It's a good listen.
Yeah, I had a couple. Molly Baron's Something Ominous, which I really liked a lot. I know I've mentioned it before. More of a hard rock kind of record, which I dug a lot. The Guess Who album that came out, I think we've spoken about that earlier, which I really liked. Sort of a poppier record. Southern Empire, we should give them a shout for Another World,
yeah,
which is a
that's a
good
good one too.
a good album by them coming back. And you mentioned Einar and Leprous, but Einar Solberg's solo record 16, which is a very weird, more alternative electronica. It's all over the place, but it's a very cool, interesting record, and he's always good vocally. So, any other ones? Anybody?
And not quite what you would call prog, but Sophomore, the Virgilio Morse Jennings prog.
Yeah, we all like
Prog
that. We didn't
adjacent.
include it in
Big
this. It's not really a prog record, but yeah, we love those guys,
stuff.
and
Good stuff there.
that's good stuff. So anyway, this top 11 is sort of a loose. You can see a lot of these got 1 vote by any of us, so they end up on this list. But I wouldn't say it's a definitive ranking. It just sort of works out that way. But we are going to still be doing our Prog Report Awards. By the time this is airing, the nominations have been out, and there will be a thing where the fans have voted, which we do every year, and we'll announce. We'll reveal the winners of that very soon. But again, it's been a great year.
Indeed.
Thanks again for everybody for watching what we do and watching the videos and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel has continued to grow over the year, continuing to do more stuff on this as opposed to other places. More Wheel of Prog stuff is coming. And yeah, it's been great. 2023 in the books. Make sure you follow us everywhere, podcast, subscribe to YouTube channel, ProgReport.com, all that stuff. We'll see you on the other side of 2024.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Happy New Year. Yay.
Follow us everywhere.
Subscribe.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us wherever you get your podcasts, check us out on all our socials and on ProgReport.com for all your news, interviews, reviews, and more. And we'll see you again real soon. Thanks.